Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be looking at the 10-game main slate on Draftkings, the one starting Saturday afternoon. There's a separate slate, smaller 4-game slate happening later in the day. We will be covering that as well, so make sure and go check out that video. But for now, just this 10-game slate on Saturday. Weather-wise, the Chicago White Sox game is at like a 30% chance of rain. It's the highest on the slate. But as always, weather changes over the course of the day. Surprise showers do happen, so make sure you're following it up right up until lock. We kind of had a little scare with the Toronto/Buffalo game on Friday night. There was no rain anywhere in the forecast, and then all of a sudden, an hour or two before lock, it started to show up. They played through some light rain to start off. Could have been a delay, possibly. But all in all, it ended just fine. So pay attention to that. But let's just dive right into the pitchers here. I'm not going to go over every single pitcher. I'm just going to kind of highlight the ones that I am interested in. Jacob deGrom right up at the top. He's pretty much a free square. I don't think we really have to talk too much about it. He has had that nagging injury. So he hasn't gone too deep into games in his past couple of starts, but he said he got pulled in this last one at 70 pitches. It was planned that he wasn't going to go very far into the game. But even still, 5 innings, he's just such a good pitcher. He's able to throw up a 25-point game in 5 innings on 70 pitches. 80 pitches, 85 pitches. He's getting close to 40. So free square, plug him in. Castillo, I'm not too interested in, given the ballpark, small ballpark, given the matchup of the good Atlanta offense. And if we're already putting Jacob deGrom into our lineups, it's going to be very difficult to put in Castillo as well. You're going to have to find probably at least 3 solid value options. You're looking at 3.5K remaining for everybody else in your lineup. It's going to be very difficult to plug them in. But if you do want to pay up, I think that Lance Lynn is a much, much better option here. He is in a better matchup. Now, again, this is a rain concern game, so make sure you're paying attention to that. But he's in a far better matchup going up against Seattle, a Seattle team that strikeouts the 5th most in the entire league at 26.5% over the past month. So he had a rough start in this last time out, but it was against Houston. We can let that slide. Houston is just, their offense is out of control right now of how good they are. So I think Lynn is a far better matchup, or in a far better spot than Castillo is, if you do want to pay up at SP2. I probably won't be. I think there's a lot of other solid options below that. McClanahan, the Angels do very well against left-handed pitching, so I'm not too interested in that. Wainwright going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, believe it or not, they do not strike out as a team. They have the 3rd lowest strikeout rate, team strikeout rate in the league over the past month. And it's pretty incredible because you don't think of them as a great offense, and they're not a great offense. They get the ball in play, they just don't do anything with it. So Wainwright's probably not going to be having that 11 strikeout performance like he had last time out. I like Cobb way, way better. So Cobb has the 2nd highest strikeout rate on the entire slate. He's at 28.8%. And he's going up against a Tampa Bay team that, against right-handed pitching, strike out the most in the entire league at 28.2%. So you have the 2nd highest strikeout pitcher on the slate going up against the number 1 strikeout team on the slate. I think that's a match made in heaven right there. And at only 8.5K, I think this is definitely one of the ceiling games that Cobb could hit, going into that high 20s range, possibly even approaching 30 in like 4x value, which would be incredible. So Cobb is definitely high on my radar as a guy to pair with Jacob deGrom. Eflin, Ryu, CORBIN. CORBIN, I think, is a very sneaky GPP play. You guys probably know by now, I hate CORBIN, but I gotta admit, he's done well in his past 2 starts. Granted, it's the Mets and the Pirates, but he's done well in his past 2 starts. Now he's going up against a Miami team, and I was talking about how Tampa Bay strikes out a lot against right-handed pitching, and they're number 1. Against left-handed pitching, Miami is number 1. They strike out the most against left-handed pitching, more than anybody else in the entire league. They're at a 29.2% strikeout rate. Now they did just hit John Lester, a fellow lefty pitcher, pretty hard on Friday night, so they can get to him. I'm not saying he's a safe play at all, but I am saying that, Corbin definitely could hit a high strikeout total here in this game, and at 7.8K could get a very nice return of value. Again, GPP, not so much cash. Brubaker, he does not allow a lot of hard contact at all, but I think I'd go Corbin over Brubaker. Let's see, who did I miss? Gibson, here we go. 6.5K. Kyle Gibson, the game log's not the greatest if you scroll through, but you can kind of see he has a nice little floor going on. He's not going to get absolutely blitzed. Well, you'll see. Let's pull up his game logs here all the way back to the start of the season. We all remember that opening day game. He went 1 out. He made it 1 out and just got absolutely destroyed. It was in that chaotic, I don't even know what it was, 14-11 game or something on opening day. But aside from that, he has faced some very, very good offenses this season. So you have Houston, San Francisco, Houston again, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago White Sox, Toronto. Tampa Bay's even pretty decent. The only 2 teams on this list that I think might be worse than the Royals or are around the Royals are this Baltimore team and maybe this Minnesota team that doesn't have Buxton. And what did he do in those 2 games? He went 8 innings in both of them, had 8 strikeouts here and 6 strikeouts here. 0 earned runs, 3 earned runs. So I think Gibson could be a very, very good option if you want some serious salary savings. You can plug him in with DeGrom, and you're looking at 4K remaining. Say you get one of those cheap bats. Again, you can target, I've been talking about those Toronto catchers. Super cheap. You plug them in, you're looking at 4.2 remaining for the rest of your build. Easy. You can absolutely fit that in for sure. So Gibson, love him as another value option. Let's turn to the bats here. And once again, it's getting kind of boring at this point. Toronto, I mean, how many, at least Houston's not on the slate. I feel like we've gone like 6 straight slates with Toronto and Houston being your targets. But it's Toronto once again going up against Baltimore. Akin, not the best pitcher. And that Toronto bullpen, or the Baltimore bullpen, Toronto too, actually. But that Baltimore bullpen is just disastrous. So Toronto definitely going to be probably one of the top options on the entire slate. George Springer here, he's returned from injury, hit a home run on Friday night. So you can kind of see it's been ugly. Obviously, he had this massive layoff with the injury, but who knows? Maybe he's returning from it, and that home run is going to get him right back into game shape here. 3.7K, possibly batting right in the middle of the order. He was batting 5th here on Friday night. So I think Springer is going to be one of the best values on this slate, point per dollar wise, given the matchup and his position and just his talent. It's probably going to be George Springer, but not like all the bats on Toronto. I don't think you can go wrong too much here with any of them. Chicago White Sox. I like Chicago White Sox as well, going up against Gilbert. Now, Gilbert's kind of weird in if you just like look across his stats, they just don't line up at all. He's been getting very lucky in a sense, in that, so like he has a great strikeout rate. He's at a 25% strikeout rate, which is like the 5th or 6th highest on the slate. You got 20 pitchers going. So that's pretty good. So 25% strikeout rate, but at the same time, he has the highest hard hit rate against on the entire slate. So when the ball does get put into play and he doesn't strike out a lot, it's getting hit hard. And, we all know what the power that these Chicago White Sox bats have. Now, they're not the best against right-handed pitching. They're much better against left-handed pitching, but it's still a team that I think you want to be targeting is this Chicago White Sox team. Looking at their pricing. There we go. Looking at the pricing, fairly cheap. I just mentioned, I showed you how, like, if you plug in Gibson, and you plug in like a cheap Toronto catcher, you're looking at 4-2 remaining for the rest of your bats. You can easily get in some of these Chicago White Sox guys, guy like Jake Lamb, who they love to put in against right-handed pitching, 3.1K, an absolute value there. Vaughn at 2.8K, another solid value. So Chicago can get you some of the value there. Cincinnati, the Cincinnati offense just playing at home. I'm always going to be interested in Cincinnati at home. Anderson's not a weak pitcher by any means. You know, he's a solid pitcher. He's not a stud ace or anything. So I think Cincinnati could be a solid option as well. Winker got a nice discount. Castellanos, even though Castellanos is going up against a right-handed pitcher as a right-handed batter, he doesn't care. He's just smashing right-handed pitching as well. He doesn't care what pitch hand they have at all. So Cincinnati, I think they're a solid option here. Just kind of looking through some guys. Oh, the other side of this game, Atlanta. Almost forgot. I think Atlanta makes one of my favorite GPP plays on this slate. Going up against Castillo. Now Castillo is in nice form. I recognize that. He's in good form, but we know that Castillo can also get blitzed. He can get hit pretty hard. You can kind of see if you scroll down past these 4 games, it's pretty ugly, the things that he has allowed. Obviously, this game in Coors, it's a Coors game, but even still, all the other ones, he lets up a lot of runs. He can walk a lot of guys. And if he doesn't go very deep into the game because he's getting hit hard, now Atlanta faces a Cincinnati bullpen who in the past month have allowed a 6.16 ERA, highest in the majors. It's even worse than the Baltimore bullpen. They just can't get anybody out, and now they're in that small ballpark, so it's going to be even worse. They allowed a lot of home runs. Their Cincinnati bullpen is allowed the most home runs in the past month of anybody in the league. They walk a lot of guys. And so if Castillo has a subpar game and he gets pulled early, not only is he getting pulled early because Atlanta's doing well, but now they're in an even better matchup going up against just a horrendous bullpen. So Atlanta, I think, make one of my favorite GPP targets on the slate, just because I could see people going for Castillo. And cheap. Guys like Riley at 3.5, you know, Almonte, Swanson, 3.6. These guys are not expensive at all. You can absolutely fill in a nice Atlanta stack with everybody and just be rolling. Be rolling for sure. Trying to see if I see LA Angels. I mentioned how they absolutely smashed left-handed pitching. They got a 138 WRC plus. I think that's number 1 or number 2 in the league against left-handed pitching. Their batting average against left-handed pitching as a team is at 296. That's number 1 in the league. So I think the Angels could absolutely go a little under the radar here, being a late game, going up against McClanahan, who isn't a terrible pitcher. And Tampa Bay doesn't have a terrible bullpen by any means, you know. So Angels, I think they could be another great GPP play. So Atlanta and LA for the GPP. And for more of the safe options, you're probably going to be going with Toronto. You're going with the White Sox, even Cincinnati going at home. Everybody else, you know, it's not that I have any issues with them. Minnesota, I like Minnesota as well. They could certainly be in for a good spot here as well. But it's a 10-game slate. There's so many different ways that you can go. Don't think that you have to be locked into one way. If I didn't mention somebody, it doesn't mean that they're a bad play at all. But if I talked about every single play that I thought was in a solid spot or could be a solid spot, we would be here all night. So that kind of wraps things up. So just to recap real quick for you guys, DeGrom, Lynn, Cobb, Corbin GPP, and Brubaker is limited. He does not allow a lot of hard contact at all. And Gibson, I think, makes a fantastic value given the matchup and what he's been able to do there. So Yeah, so that kind of covers everything. Make sure to check out that other video that will be coming out later in the day. And good luck in your contest. As always, hit that subscribe button, please. Hit the thumbs up button, drop a comment down below. We really do appreciate it. And it really does help us get all this free content out to you guys. So good luck in your contest this afternoon, and I'll see you in the next video.